flights going into Israel. The FAA did give the go-ahead for U.S. flights to once again land at Israel's Ben Gurion Airport. But just this morning, reports from local media in Israel say an Air Canada flight was forced to circle before landing in order to avoid rocket fire in the area. This is why the FAA could rescind its all-clear order at any time. Let's talk more about this with Adam Schiff, Democratic representative from California and member of the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Carol.
Was it wise for the FAA to allow flights into and out of Israel again?
Well, I don't know. It's obviously a difficult call, and I think one that the FAA is making based strictly on security considerations. It's astounding to me, frankly, to hear members of the Senate voice the most preposterous speculation without anything to support it, that this was somehow a judgment by the State Department and not the FAA. So clearly, FAA is driving this decision, and as I think FAA has made clear, should the situation on the ground change, they're going to reconsider. And I have to think also, Carol, that obviously the downing of that plane over the conflict in eastern Ukraine had a pretty important impact on the FAA's caution here.
Well, just this morning, this Air Canada flight, it had to circle the airport to avoid rocket fire. That's frightening, isn't it?
It is frightening, and I'm sure it wasn't very pleasant for those on board, and that's exactly the kind of thing that the FAA is going to be looking at. Just as we saw that ban come off very quickly, that ban can go back on very quickly. So if I think we have many more rockets that are in the proximity of the airport, it's very likely that that ban will be restored.
As you know, there was enormous pressure on the FAA to rescind the ban, and you heard from Senator Ted Cruz, you heard from officials within Israel saying our airport is safe, the Iron Dome will capture these rockets, coming toward the airport, and the Iron Dome is doing a good job. But some might argue that the FAA lifted the ban because of politics, too.
Well, I think the FAA has only one overriding consideration, and that is what's going to keep people safe in the air. Because at the end of the day, the only real risk for the FAA is that one of those planes gets hit. So that's what's first and foremost in their mind. And I think that's going to continue to drive their decision. I think the White House and the State Department are not going to interfere in that in any way. And while I'm sure this was a very unhappy decision for Israel, I don't think the FAA is going to bow to pressure either from within the administration or from outside the country. I think the FAA will do what it needs to protect Americans flying.
Congressman Adam Schiff, thank you so much for your insight. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Carol.